We're live. It's been a while since Paulahties. You may remember some of my episodes from a couple months ago. Paulahties, where we work out your core why brand story. I'm sure it's caught on by now. So it's been a minute, and I wanted to give you all my network, my connections, all the people that I know very well, all the people who are just getting to know me, sort of a refresher as to who I am, what I do, but most importantly, why I exist in this platform doing this work that I do in the first place. So, as it breaks down very simply, I design brand stories for companies. I also design brand stories for individuals, like personal brands. As it pertains to companies, these are the leaders of these companies that are looking for that core differentiation. You may be in SaaS digital product space. You may be in um, real estate. You may be in human services. You may be a financial firm. What is true is that your work is very similar to the competitors in your space. What is also true is that your story, why your company exists, why you do the work that you do, that is the differentiator. That is also true. That your why, your take, your perspective is the reason why you're different. As it pertains to personal brands, it's a similar concept, but someone is promoting their personal story. I've accumulated a lot of knowledge in my professional life, 35 years experience in said industry. I also have come through a lot and have learned a lot in my personal story. Great personal experience, great professional experience. We put it together in this dynamic why this matters to you audience so that that personal brand can be amplified and connect with their target audience. Your story, personal brand, is the reason why people want to get to know you, work with you, bring you to their event so that you can speak, hire you to be a consultant or to do the work that you do in your space. So, design brand stories. That's the one hat that I wear at Crider Creatives. The other hat that I wear is that I book talent. So, if you've been to a conference or a trade show or a fundraiser or a gala or a seminar and you've seen speakers on stage, some are very well known experts in the space, celebrity types, athletes. We're like, oh my gosh, I know that person without any kind of advertising whatsoever. Name rolls off the tongue. You know that person. I can book those kinds of people for those kinds of events. You're also aware that when you're looking through your agenda and you want to go to track A and do a breakout session and a workshop and a panel discussion on said topics, well, there are also speakers in those spaces. I also book those people. Sometimes it's really fun to work with celebrities and famous people because you get to say, wow, and take a picture and whoa, and that's really exciting. And sometimes it's not because there's a lot of work that goes into getting that said person to the stage, making sure the contract is all in order and that all of the bells and whistles and the riders and all the technical things that are needed in the green room space. Sometimes those things can add up and become stressful for event planners, for agents, and people who book those things. Not often, but sometimes. It's really exciting, however, to work with people that may not be a household name, but you know that their story speaks volumes to their niche, to their target audience. And despite not having a movie about their life or even a best-selling book, their words carry weight and inspires audiences. So, book design brand stories for businesses and personal brands. I also like to call that developing talent. There's a story, we get it out, we develop it, we make sure not only is the story powerful, but you can perform it and you can engage your audience at any venture. So we develop that talent. And then we can also book talent. Now, sometimes those worlds overlap. Sometimes the people that I have the pleasure of working with also become options for me to book them for events. I have over the last year or so, maybe 2 years, really developed amazing relationships with event planners, conference producers, people who know how to amplify and promote speakers, performers, thought leaders, and really get their name out there on podcasts, on streaming shows, um, uh, in social media, in new ways, interacting with your audience on social media. Really cool ways of getting your brand out there and celebrating that. So I have a chance to work with these people, and then I turn to my networks and I say, these people are amazing. There's a conference, there's an event, they need a speaker. Sometimes it pays, sometimes the audience is large, and so it pays off because your influence is great. Either way, one does not cancel out the other. If you get paid, doesn't mean it's a great event, or if you don't get paid, doesn't mean it's a terrible event. Um, but my job is to make sure that the speaking product is unbelievable. So we develop it and then we can book it, right? So that's what I do at, that's my what and my how. Um, why I do what I do, I have, um, if you tell me, gun to my head, what's the last thing you want to do before you leave this earth? Like, I want to watch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I want to watch Good Will Hunting with a big bowl of popcorn. I want to see Star Wars in that Vegas, whatever that thing is, the bubble thing. And I want to be blown away by dramatic storytelling, great characters, and really feel like I've lost myself in the moments that I've spent within that story. That's been something that has mattered to me since I've been a little guy. Some of you guys might know this, and I have hinted to it and even spoken to it at some length. If you saw my Father's Day tribute, um, being entertained and entertaining others, making sure that we make the most of our moments here on in this life, matters to me because of an unfortunate medical situation that I had growing up. I never thought I would talk about childhood cancer as like a differentiator, like yay for me, cancer. But turns out, as now I'm 43 years old, but from age 3 to 5, I battled acute lymphocytic leukemia. And when you go through the regimens to get yourself healthy, again, chemotherapy, losing your hair, prednisone, which makes your face swell, um, uh, vomiting, nausea, and all the while being a kid and going through these things, and not even a kid, like a toddler. So, you can imagine, and I'll describe some moments for you, getting on the bus at summer camp. I'm 5 years old, and we're on our way to a summer day camp, like all kids, a lot of kids go to, and they'd have to stop the bus for me because my medicine every morning would make me nauseous to the point of throwing up, and I would bring. Actually, this is a Gen X sort of thing. Remember McDonald's Happy Meals that came in like a beach bucket that all the characters around it, and they would give you the toys in there, like the Riddler and the purple one, whatever his name is. Anyways, McDonald's had all these characters, and one of their Happy Meals was this pail that they would give you. It was a cool beach toy. Well, I used it to throw up in, which wasn't, physically wasn't all that great, but also, emotionally and psychologically, you can imagine like a 5-year-old getting stop the bus. Oh, Paul's going to get off and do his thing, and then gets back on the bus. My face was swollen, my hair was bald, and I'm also doing those things, right? So these kinds of experiences, big needles, bone marrow shots, going to the hospital a lot, getting better though, which is great. Like today I'm healthy, but going through that and you realize a couple things about your life. One is that, oh, it's not supposed to be like this. This is a lot of pain. This is a lot of suffering. There's a lot of trauma. And it's not supposed to be like that. And two, I know how I'm feeling about that, but I'm also hyper aware of how everybody is feeling around that. The faces on my parents, on my older sister. My younger sister wasn't born at the time. And so it gives you, even at from 3 to 5. Do you remember any of it? I remember all of it. It gives you this sense of, okay, I think we can do better with our time here. So when I got over that and I grew into the child and young man and the person I am today, I took a liking to, a passion to performing, singing, dancing, improv, working on great shows, musical theater. Um, I developed a sense of humor, this wacky, wild strangeness. Some of my idols in terms of comedy are people like Robin Williams, and Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor. Just like this kind of manic, fun, very creative. Hey, this is my moment. This is our moment. Let's make the best of it. I take that lesson sort of into my career, which, by the way, started in the performing arts, which also transitioned into a world of teaching. So, this idea of how can we make the best of the moments for the people around us? I worked in social services with kids in the foster system in the greater Boston area. How can we make this moment the best for them? And then I found myself working in talent management and booking events for dynamic storytellers. Again, how can we make the best of this moment? Because life can be hard. We don't know what people are experiencing unless they want to tell us. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know where they're going to. But we do know that we have an opportunity to affect people in a positive way, in a memorable way, literally to brand our experience, our life, our knowledge onto them so they can take it and go do something with it. Now, if that sounds dramatic, sometimes it can be, but it's also very practical. So if you think of the world of business storytelling, a CEO of a digital products company, okay, is the CEO of a digital products company um, going to go into a story about overcoming some horrific trauma? Probably not, but they can talk about their career journey, how they found that space, the decisions they made in their life that made them realize, wow, this is where I need to be. They can also talk about case studies for clients and partners that they work with that without their help wouldn't have succeeded and achieved the success that they have. These powerful business stories can drive traffic to your company. They can give your sales force something to use when they're prospecting clients, when they're demonstrating products, and really inject a sense of humanity into a space that is often devoid of it, right? I'm not here to get to know anybody. You asked to see a demo, so this is what we do and how we do it. That gets lost in the space of personal brand storytelling. These personal journeys come to the surface and bubble up more frequently. But it's still a process as to determine what stories you use and when, because you have to decide. Oh, I'm going to be speaking to these folks in Dallas today. I just came from an event in Los Angeles. Now you can say to yourself, okay, well, the group in Dallas focuses on this kind of industry. The group in LA focused on that kind of industry. Different worlds, different people, plus different part of the country, different dynamics to consider. So you can look at the stories that you've crafted and determine which ones you're going to use per each event. Right? Does that make sense? So, yeah, they could be all these powerful personal stories, stories of overcoming obstacles and surviving this and realizing that. But you can build this repertoire of products. Be like, okay, for the group in Chicago, it's perfect fit for me to use this, while amplifying your personal brand story so that you can drive clients to you to speak at the next event and to use your services. So, I wanted to make one more note about why I do this work. So, Growing up, why did I get into performing arts and teaching and working in social services? And why did I develop this personality and my love for music and jokes and improv and performing? That's because when you are going through, at least from my experience, a trauma like I did, yes, you're concerned about your own well being, but you also are constantly chaperoned and with people who also care about your journey. So when you look up, after you're done, being in pain or emotional, and you look up and you realize there are other people in the room, they're looking at you with the same grief that you have, or the same troubling look that you also have. So I took it upon myself to say, "Oh, hey, yeah, this was hard for me, clearly for you too, but now it's done. So we can move on together, and let me help you. Let me make you laugh. Let me change the subject in a creative way. Let me give you time to yourself. I'm okay. Go and do what you got to do." Creating opportunities for the people who watch you, because at the end of the day, they have shown up for you. So what are you doing for them? And that, in the world of speaking, of keynoting, of demoing, of presenting, of being on a panel, it's all the same. What are we doing for our target audience? Right? Now, I preach all the time with the people that I work with is to make these um, pitches as to who you are, what you do, and why you do it brief and meaty and mighty. And sometimes they go on like for 16, 17 minutes, like this one is. If you want to get to know me and the work that I do and how it can apply to your industry, to your life, to your world, what you'll learn is that it is indeed possible to sum up in a very creative and poignant way your professional and life experiences in a way that is digestible, memorable, and leaves a branded imprint on the people who need to hear that message. It is absolutely possible. It is also possible to expand that truncated message into a longer, deeper, more detailed experience. This is where my analogy of the sandwich model comes into play. If you've worked with me, if you know my work, or if you've seen any of it, you might see me referencing to food or sandwiches. Often. I like to eat, and I think there's no better experience than being around a table when there's great food and drink and people, great company, great food, and everyone comes together, and food and drink and smells and tastes and these things get people talking, and stories start flowing, just like the beverages and the meals that go into our bodies. So similar, it's very Epicurean, if you know who the Greek philosopher Epicurus was, who said, and I sum up, never eat alone. Because the idea is when you're enjoying flavors and wonderful combinations of spices and meats with cheeses and these drinks with these flavors, is so much better to experience with another so that you can create that kind of relationship. So I use a sandwich because I like to eat and I like sandwiches. So think about it this way. You can develop the slider, right? Bun, meat, bun, a little tiny burger, right? A little slider that you know that you can take out at any time when someone needs you to be concise and share your message or your story, right? So the recipe for the slider, keep that in mind. You can also create the recipe for like the hulking, hoagie, Dagwood, triple decking, enormous submarine sandwich. Multiple layers, lots of detail. And that is more for your keynote that goes 45 minutes to 60 minutes. That's more for the 90-minute keynote with a workshop or a breakout session where it's the it's the core message of the slider, but the details just get filled in and more learning can take place when you have the larger version, which again is for only particular kinds of events. But that recipe for the slider, that recipe for the hulking hoagie, these are the things that make what I call the back pocket story. And that's something that you can carry around with you. Oh, I'm on a panel? Great. Let me pull out my recipe for that. My sandwich panel sandwich. Oh, I'm the lead keynote speaker. I got 25 minutes. No problem. Here is my recipe for my keynote sandwich. Oh, I'm here to invest to inspire investors to give me money for my startup or for my digital company. Great. Here is my pitch, 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes pitch sandwich. So these delicious products and their recipes are you carry around with you for your back pocket brand story experience, right? So in these 20 minutes, I haven't talked with you guys in a long time, and it's nice to reconnect with you. I'm trying to make sure that the people that I have brought into my network can find great value in speaking with me. And I don't mean just speaking with me so that I can get your business, but speaking with me so that I can send you in the right direction. Sure, if it leads to a paid opportunity where I'm working with you in that capacity, obviously I'm a solo entrepreneur. I would love your business. But more than that, creating the right relationship with you so that you, my audience, can find success. Okay. So that has been your Paulahties. I hope your core brand story ideas are kicking, are floating, are brewing to the surface. And if you want to explore those stories with me, I'll leave you a link to my calendar so that you can get on a call with me and we can shoot the breeze and figure out how we can help each other best. Have an awesome day, everybody. Enjoy your week. Let's get over the hump. It's Wednesday. Let's not slip back into Tuesday, although some days I do feel like I'm going to do that. Bye.